like to spend time introducing such an eminent speaker. Before we conclude this session, you have something to say?
You can continue.
You have something?
Okay. You continue, sir.
Okay. I think we will do the summarization and other bit that is left after the speech delivered by Dr. Vikas Sinha. If there are any formalities to be conducted, you can do it in between.
Now I would request Mr. R.P. Banerjee to hand over the memento to the panelist. Now Mr. Shyamul Bhattacharjee will be handing the mementos to the panelists, please.
You must be all very tired, but I hope feeling reasonably creative. I don't know what creativity is all about, but before I say what I have to say briefly, I'll quote Albert Einstein. He said, "I'm not a particularly intelligent man, but I'm madly curious." Curiosity is the essence of creativity, not the other way around. My good friend Malavika Sarkar mentioned that the whole education structure somewhere along the line has gone completely wrong. Therefore, to tell you awful statistics to start my talk, even today, 1 in 5 males remain illiterate, and 1 in 7 females remain illiterate. After 4 years in school, most kids do not know how to divide 20 by 5. Not a single institution of higher learning in our country, be it university, national institutions, come under anywhere near the first 50 in the world. Achieving excellence, which was the motto of Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, has become rather a bore for most young people's mind. Quite understandable, without annoying anyone. If I do, I can't help it. This so-called management, combined with IT philosophy, takes the last drop of creativity away from our children. At the moment, we are going through a great crisis, in my opinion, in the educational system. And even the best of best that we have, and we have plenty of best, especially in Bengal, in my experience, their ultimate motto, the ultimate goal, their ultimate dream, their ultimate destination is go to the United States of America. I'm not saying don't go to the United States of America. I myself was 15 years abroad. But for heaven's sake, the country which has nurtured you from the day you arrived in this world, you only dying to go to some other country and not give return a single thing to your own country. What kind of philosophy is that? Unlike the Chinese who are stationed abroad, they come back to China for lengths of time and do some work for China. But our dadas and didis are so very clever. They don't want to come back to their own country even for a few days because their mama and grandmama would take away all their money. It's a very sad state of affairs. And Malavika is just gone now, but I am a member of the Presidency Council. And these kids coming from Birmingham, Sheffield, or even America, they want to go away because we can't provide them enough salary or infrastructure. What is excellence is the subject I want to talk about. And in that context, what I just mentioned, Ashutosh Mukherjee stands out head and shoulders over everybody else. But he was not a very colorful person, you know, like some other characters like Rabindranath Tagore or Swami Vivekananda. So Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose was one of the greatest scientists India has ever produced. And Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee did a lot for their countries in terms of poetry, in terms of science even, Rabindranath Tagore. He is very well known, of course, as far as music. But Ashutosh Mukherjee is an unsung hero of Bengal. And his grandson, I am quite friendly with, we lament this business quite a bit. And I will, for the next 10-15 minutes, I won't bore you very much, try to explore the persona of Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee. Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee is an enigma, a kaleidoscopic personality who was at the same time a brilliant mathematician, an applied mathematician, a physicist, and ultimately an outstanding and brilliant lawyer. Sir Ashutosh was the child of Bengal Renaissance, the father of Bengal Renaissance, and ultimately a Bhishma of Bengal Renaissance, with the capital of India shifting to Delhi from Calcutta. Just imagine the superstars of the galaxy during the time of Bengal Renaissance. I take your mind's eye to the beginning of the last century. 1861, Rabindranath Tagore is born. 1859, Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose is born. 1864, Ashutosh was born. What are those people? Give me 1/10 of any one of these individuals now. What are they? What have we done ourselves not to be able to create a speck of that brilliance? Dr. Sarvavalli Radhakrishnan, discovered by Sir Ashutosh from nowhere, refers to in his speech in June 1964, celebrating 100 years of Sir Ashutosh, mentions that the three most illustrious sons of Bengal are Rabindranath Tagore, Swami Vivekananda, and Ashutosh Mukhopadhyay. Somehow he missed out on Jagadish Chandra Bose because he was a poor scientist like me, and scientists are always being missed out because people don't understand scientists. What do they do? They ask themselves. Sir Ashutosh had lofty dreams for Calcutta University, and he didn't just dream like most people do. He turned his dream into substantial reality. In his own words, quote, "I dream of a Nalanda in the middle of most populous and biggest city of the empire." And he dreamt also a very magical revolution to have Science Congress first time in Calcutta, 15 January 1914. As some of you may recall, recalling the history, we had the 100 years of Science Congress, which was attended by the President of India and the Prime Minister of India. That legacy is very strong. Some of us are extremely critical the way Science Congress is done. But I consider Science Congress is not a congress, it's a festival. But let that pass. He realized early, this is an important point, that grants from the government will bind him with rules and regulations and restrictions. And I'm coming from just a meeting where we were talking about rules all the time. And these damn bureaucrats make rules so that you can't do anything creative. What are you want? Creative. You can't do anything creative because anything new has no precedence, so I can't give you money. How about that logic, eh? How do you expect to do science and creative science, for instance, if you don't do anything new? But the bureaucrats don't like anything new. I hope I'm not offending anyone. Even if I am, I'm very sorry. So you have to carry on the same and same again. In mathematics, I put it very simply. You know, x plus y equal to z is an equation. What you can do is to prove z is also equal to x plus y. Then you get the grant. It's a fact, it's a reality that I face myself. He didn't relish interference either from the government or his other franchise. Lord Curzon in particular, who was interfering all the time because the British Raj didn't want a center of excellence. He wanted to create a free-thinking faculty, highly creative independence of his or her age. Sir Ashutosh was determined to maintain independence of the administration and that of the Vice-Chancellor. He was, of course, the most successful Vice-Chancellor ever of Calcutta University. His creation, his brainchild, his own baby. It is impossible, he thought, to create a world-class center of excellence in education with the conditions of the government and bureaucracy and British Empire. You cannot have independence. So he emphasized again and again that a university such as Calcutta University is the cradle of learning and creativity of the highest level of knowledge. It is also an establishment which gives students a deep sense of belonging, the alma mater. You just don't get a degree from a university or an institution in order to get a job in information technology sector. Be at the top and bring glory. That was his motto. Sir Ashutosh became Vice-Chancellor of Calcutta University on 31st March 1906. On the other hand, Albert Einstein discovered a special theory of relativity in 1905, and he was aware of that. He thought his tenure defined the dictates of British government, actually being referred to always deferred from the British government. Eventually, he referred to as Banglar Bagh or Tiger of Bengal. I don't like that particularly, except I know from my grandfather's time, not that I met him, he died, that this Tiger of Bengal, if he thundered, then from Rangoon to Tehran, everybody shook. Such was the strength and power and credibility of Calcutta University. What have we done to it? What have we done to it? To bypass by far and large and freeing himself from the British government, he ensures independence of his university, who went up his way to seek donation, shared Sir Rabindranath with the begging bowl for Vishwabharati. They all wanted to be independent of government. And you are dying to be dependent on government because it's so easy. You get a fat salary. If you do something, you are in trouble. If you don't do anything, you are in glorious nojor of the government. He's very good, he's very reliable. He does exactly what you say, which is, no, don't do anything. First time in history, Ashutosh managed to introduce postgraduate courses in universities unknown. And the culture of research was completely unknown at that time, beginning of 20th century. He introduced that. And not only that, look at the man's greatness of mind. He was a mathematician, a physicist, a lawyer, but he introduced in postgraduate courses Pali and Sanskrit. Because he thought, without Pali and Sanskrit, our boys and girls would not recognize what India is all about. In 1921, with very generous donation from Sir Taraknath Palit, Sir Rashbihari Ghosh, Maharaja of Khaira Guru Prasad Singh, Maharaja of Darbhanga, Ashutosh established 11 chairs. Palit, Ghosh and Khaira professor still exist, I'm glad to say. The salary is very poor, so nobody wants to come unless your mother is dying. Sorry to be so vulgar and crude. That seems to be the only reason, your attraction of family to come to Calcutta, not for any other reason. Suddenly the university was vibrating with all kinds of activities. A sense of great excitement and romance pervaded the atmosphere and environment of the university. That's very important. The environment. Education, creativity, curiosity is not produced mechanically. The way the teachers teach, the way the students interact with teachers, the way students look up to a teacher is all integral part of the environment of the university. So much so that eventually the research done at Calcutta, sorry, I have the same obsession as Malavika, I'm very sorry about presidency. I quote now from one of the greatest poets of our soil. Quote, "It had been possible for him to dream of the miracle of introducing a living heart behind the steel framework made in the doll factory of bureaucracy. Though this could only be done through a revolution, upsetting the respectability of rigid routines and increasing thereby the displeasure of the high priest of machine idol. Ashutosh touched the Calcutta University with the magic wand of his creative will in order to transform it into a living organism belonging to the life of Bengal itself." Writer is Rabindranath Tagore, after Ashutosh's death. Fearless Sir Ashutosh went on to treat Calcutta University as his own dearest endeavor, his own. He obviously attracted a lot of criticism, but he didn't care. The good of his great institution was his focus, his goal, his dream. So he goes on to appoint a young and inspiring philosopher by the name of Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan in the faculty. He was hardly 30. He had audacity of bringing a person from the accounts department by the name of C.V. Raman and made him the Pali professor of physics, and Raman at that time was just 29. Now any one of us here involved with education try to do that in any institution. Age of 29, without interview, you are appointed Pali professor. The guy you are appointed, you won't get to jail, but you certainly will end up in jail. And in fact, it so happens, as you know, history, C.V. Raman got the Nobel Prize and Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan became the President of India. The man, Sir Ashutosh, had an uncanny way of finding out where the talent lies. This is a great, great quality of a leader. I said I'll finish quickly. I just want to give a glimpse of not so much sung hero of Bengal. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan says, quote, "I met him for the first time around 1921. I remember vividly the heartiness with which he welcomed a newcomer and the enthusiasm with which he spoke about the university and its place in making a modern India and a place in the whole world. But of all his qualities, that which perhaps strikes one most was the wonderful simplicity of nature, which Lord Tennyson, the English poet, noted beautifully. Quote, "And as the greatest only are in his simplicity sublime." In fact, Sir Ashutosh, after finishing his responsibility in the High Court of Calcutta, used to change from trousers to dhoti. And he used to eat a box of sandesh on his way home. It was his habit, so to speak. And some Englishmen asked him, many Englishmen asked him, "Well, Sir Ashutosh, why the hell don't you wear a hat? You all wear hats." Ashutosh replied, "I don't need to. My intelligence is my hat." Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas Sinha, for your very enlightening and knowledgeable speech. There are many things which we did not know, we have come to know today. and it is very important for us to know. So now I would allow you to ask a few questions. Only 2 questions from the audience, because we are running behind schedule.
I'm not a Bengal tiger. I'm just already
So don't be afraid to ask questions. Just 2 questions from anybody, if you have any.
Clearly, they either totally agree or totally disagree. What I would say.
Now I would request Mr. R.P. Banerjee to hand over the memento to Mr. Vikas Sinha.
Okay, thank you very much for your patient hearing. We will now change over to the next session.
To come to the dais, please. Mr. Rahul Bose, Mr. A.K. Das. Sir, please be on the dais. Mr. Prasad is a fellow member of Cost Accountant of India. His very successful career with Steel Authority of India, and he was an executive director in finance at Durgapur Steel Plant. Presently in Central Council member with Institute of Cost Accountant of India, Chairman Training and Education Facilities. Chairman member in Industry, Chairman in PAIB Committee, South Asian Federation of India. He has widely traveled in places like Europe, Africa, Asia and America. May I now request Mr. Prasad to please come on dais, please. Mr. Alok Kumar Das, who is BE and MBA, FIE from India, Industrial Advisor, Government of India, Director cum Professor JIS, Corporate Advisor, Director, Group of Companies and White Lotus Consultancy, General Manager X, Industrial Finance Corporation of India, Government of India, President X, West Bengal State Council of Vocational Education and Training. Mr. Alok Kumar Das. So I think Mr. Das will now take on the dais.
And Mr. Prasad, the personnel of BCCI, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic is thoughts, expectations, beliefs and ideals of young mind. This topic is really fruitful on this day, the birthday of our Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee. Yesterday also there was this birthday of a great man, Rishi Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, and already mentioned by our Professor Dr. Vikas Sinha about the Rabindranath Tagore, as also Radhakrishnan, as also others. Sir Ashutosh is really a figure like the king of the forest, like that is why he is named as Tiger of Bengal. You see, his idealism, his thoughts, his beliefs, I can say that like a bullet, one shot gun like that. He is firm in his decision. You have seen the way he was running the Calcutta University. That time, University of Calcutta is so glorious that we are proud of that. It is treated as one of the best university in the world, like Oxford and others. And today I think trend is coming to the young people, the same trend. So for example, I am just giving you, when I was just passed school certificate, means higher secondary, that time my father asked me now which career he should start, engineering or medical or legal, which one? My father was, of course, he was a doctor, medical practitioner. So till then, he said, you go for engineering, it is better. My life is really, as a doctor, I feel that engineers should be better. So without knowing, of course, I was very good in mathematics, but I was not prepared that whether I should go for engineering or what I should do. But I have gone for engineering, which after some time I do not like much, but still I was continuing. And my father said, okay, one day you will be engineer, that is enough. Then you will start your career. But today's young people, if he likes, say, geography, nobody can poke him to force to study mathematics. This is the change of the day. So I should say that today's young people are more confident and they believe in one stroke, and that is always better. So their thoughts are like Sir Ashutosh's thoughts, I should say. What about the thoughts? Thoughts are the action or process of thinking. You see, what is really important when it comes to the law of attractions is that thoughts are vibrations, and vibrations are what attracts. So your thoughts are very important because your thoughts attract whatever you are thinking about you, at the same time attracting more either positive or negative. Most of the thoughts that passes through your head during the day are so-called, you can say, the automatic thoughts. We do not know what we are thinking. Sometimes it goes like automatic thoughts. And most people don't know that you can actually change or even choose your thoughts. That sometimes we do not know that we can have a choice for the thoughts. Whatever comes, we think about that. But you can. Your thoughts depend very much on what you focus on.